Hi everyone, today we're going to be doing a quick review of the new WESTMAN Atelier Vital Skincare Concealer. I've been testing this out now for just over a week and I have lots of thoughts to share with you. So if that sounds like something that you might be interested in, please do keep on watching. Let's kick off with some information about this concealer. So this is a real pricey one, and actually, come to think of it, I think it's the most expensive concealer that I own, and it retails for £48, $48. Before we get into the application of the concealer, let's just take a look at what the claims of this concealer actually are. This does claim to be the perfect concealer, so hydrates at the same time as giving you serious coverage, and claims to be creaseless. It claims to nourish, it claims to improve the under eyes. As for the ingredients, it contains ingredients like coffee leaf extract, licorice root, hyaluronic acid, peptides, and gentian root, which claims to brighten dark circles, depuffs, lifts, and firms the eye contour. It's also formulated without talc, parabens, silicones, phthalates, and it is also cruelty-free. The packaging, I must say, is very, very attractive. I really think it's beautiful. I don't have anything else like this in my collection. In terms of the doe foot, it feels like a sample concealer because it has such a little applicator and the doe foot is really tiny, which I think is perfect for getting into the inner corner and for a more precise application. So you get 6 ml of product with this, and I picked this up in the shade M1, which is a medium neutral shade. I tend to go for more serum-like concealers. I know I'm never going to cover all of the darkness under my eyes without it looking cakey. So when I heard that this was a medium to full coverage concealer and that it was also hydrating, that obviously gave me hope, because I feel like I am always on this quest for the perfect concealer. So I think what we'll do is I will apply this for you, I'll finish up my makeup, and then I'll take you through some daylight footage that I have recorded this week whilst wearing this concealer, and then I'll bring you my final thoughts. As always, I'm going to apply with my favourite concealer brush, which is the Angie A506, the Hot and Flashy concealer brush. This is my favourite. And I always prep my eyes in the same way with a serum. This is my favourite one, which is by Beauty Pie. As I mentioned, I have this in the shade M1. And I know I've already swatched it for you, but I'll just show it you again. And I just want to point out that this is a neutral shade, a medium neutral shade. I was not expecting it to be quite as yellow as what it is. So that's the first thing to mention. The one thing that you have to know about this concealer, it claims to be medium to full coverage, but for me, this is probably the most full coverage concealer I've used. I did not expect it to be so thick in consistency. So please do not go in liberally under your eye, because you really do not need to. Let's just go in with a little bit over here and just blending down. So I don't have anything else on my face apart from the eye serum, moisturizer, that's it. And I also have a little bit of eyeshadow and mascara on. So as you can see there, it blends really, really nicely. And then I'm going to put a really small amount here because I do want you to see it. I don't want it to be too minimal. Now you can see immediately how brightening this concealer is. It really does lift your eye. So it has covered my darkness, it has brightened, and it has lifted. This is the biggest challenge over here. I love this doe foot, by the way. It is slightly tapered, but I love how I can just get into my hollow right here. If it was up to me, I wouldn't use concealer in this area at all, because that's where my fine lines are. But I have to because of this prominent vein. So I'm just going to pop a little bit over here as well. This is my bad eye done, and I think you'll agree that it's done an incredible job at covering my darkness, and I don't think I've ever had a concealer cover my vein as well. Very, very full coverage, but I do think that it is buildable. If I'm really bothered by this vein and by the hollow, I can go in with a little bit more, but I really wouldn't go in with any more than this. You just don't need it. This also claims to be a great all-round concealer, so you can spot conceal around the face. So my skin isn't looking the best today. Must have known I was filming this video. Gave me something to work with. I've got a few blemishes around. I've got my hyperpigmentation here at the top. My nose is always an issue. And you can just tap that, and it's a great blemish spot concealer. Really good, see? And it does feel really nice on the skin, despite how full coverage it is. Let's have a look at a quick before and after with just the concealer applied. So the first thing that I want to say about this concealer is that it's absolutely amazing at covering darkness, at brightening and lifting the under eye. It's amazing at that. But I do have to say that because it is so full coverage, it does sit into my fine lines. However, I'm going to explain to you now why I don't think it's such a massive problem. Let me just go and finish off the rest of my makeup, and then we will really break down the pros and cons of this concealer. So I'll be back in a little mo. So in relation to powdering, I do not powder this concealer in the same way as what I would usually powder concealer under my eyes. I usually go in with this angled eyeshadow brush, and I will quite comfortably go in with powder underneath my eye. I think some people will be happy with how this concealer looks on its own, and actually initially I didn't think I would need to powder until I took some footage and I saw how luminous it was, and it was just emphasizing my eye bags, my hollows a little bit. So I am going to strategically powder under my eyes. So what I mean strategically powder, I actually did cover this in my video on under eye hollows, which I will link up here for you. If I really need to focus on my eye hollow, my eye bag, I will strategically place the powder into the hollow as to minimize that area and to take the shine down, and therefore take the reflection down, and therefore minimize the eye hollow. So I am going to use a brush that looks like this, slim and very, very dense. So I'm going in with my Huda Easy Bake. I'm dipping in slightly to my powder, and I'm just going to take the powder just into the eye bag. So you're better off looking down to do this, and I'm just going to concentrate it there. I'm not going to bring it up any further than that. And then I'm going to do the same over here. This one's not as bad. And then just into the hollow there. So that's how I powder my under eyes with this concealer. And I know some of you are going to be thinking, and I'm thinking it myself, I shouldn't have to be super careful with a concealer that's cost £48, $48. And you are right. You are right. I do think that this is a good concealer. However, I think it comes with sacrifices. So I'm going to insert some footage now of this concealer in the daylight, and you will be able to see how it has just emphasized those fine lines a little bit. Now, it's not terrible, and the one thing I will give this concealer is it sits into the lines straight away, but then it doesn't change. It doesn't become worse. It doesn't become dry as the day goes on. Where you lay this concealer is where it stays. So I will give it that. And I'll just insert some footage now of when I didn't powder under my eyes, and you can actually see the luminosity of this concealer in this footage. And I think from certain angles it looks really good. But as with any kind of hydrating skincare like concealer, if you've got under eye hollows, there is a chance that the luminosity is going to emphasize those bags or hollows. I just want to talk to you about the longevity of the concealer. It's phenomenal. As I said, once this concealer goes on, it kind of sets itself. Now, I don't mean sets itself as in it doesn't need powder. It just stays where it is and it will last all day. So you're talking, you will get 12 hours of coverage out of this concealer easy. There's no budging with it. It's fantastic. But let me just take you through quickly what I think the pros and cons are of this concealer. It does an amazing job at covering darkness, at brightening the under eyes, at hydrating the under eyes, and the longevity of this concealer is phenomenal. So I have said that I do think it sits into fine lines a little bit, but it doesn't get worse over the course of the day like a lot of full coverage concealers can do. So some will just continue to get drier and emphasize more and more lines as the day goes on. This concealer doesn't do that. How it applies is how it stays. So the negatives, and do bear in mind that I am pretty fussy when it comes to concealers, but as I mentioned, it will sit into lines and wrinkles if they are there. So although this is not a drying concealer, I do find that I have to be careful when I powder. A lot of people will be happy with the self-setting nature of this concealer. I still find it too luminous to not set because of my bags, my hollows. I have to be really strategic with my powdering, which I do see as a negative. If you have to really think carefully about what you're doing, that's a drawback for me. And I think the other main negative is the shades. Well, this shade is quite yellow. All in all, this will be going into my top drawer. I really do like it. I love how much it does cover my darkness, but it's what I would call a faffy concealer. I have to kind of alter how I usually do things to make it work. I'm not mad about doing that, but it is worth noting. So lots of pros, a few cons. Is it worth the $48, £48? I still need to continue to test it out. So I will do an update at the end of the year. However, bear in mind that if you do have some fine lines under your eyes, this is going to sit in it no matter what. But do let me know what your thoughts are on this concealer. Do you think it's worth the money, or do you think that it sounds like a lot of work for the price? Have you picked this up? If you have, let me know how you're getting on with it down in the comments. Okay guys, thank you so much for joining me for this video. I so appreciate you being here with me. I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the next one. But until then, take care and bye for now.